Hello there, and once again, this is Anton from Antonimo Bay. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'm in the collection room today, looking at some comics. As I've said recently, we had a little shop open up in our mall that sells collectibles and things like that, and they got a pile of comics in the back. So I have got a little stack of comics that I picked up, and we're just gonna go through them. I like to do every page. I came across old Supergirl. I love Supergirl, modern Supergirl, and I know a lot less about old Supergirl. So this is a number 9, 60-cent cover. I'm trying to, let's see if I can find the year, 1983. I was just impressed with it. It's a little on the rough side. You can see it's a little bit burned. Not really burned, but it's like dried out and crispy on the edge here, or it looks like it. Maybe it's just dirty. But here's the deal. It's from 83. It's never been bagged in its life. And, you know, I've often pointed out with some of the independent books from 83 that were like $1 or $2.50 or whatever. And this is 60 cents. So kind of reminds you of how expensive some stuff was. I've got a lot of comics from like 85 that are like $2.50, and it's like, well, who was paying for that back then? But anyway, so this is Supergirl. I am not really sharp on a lot of my old Supergirl. I'm not sure how it breaks down, I should say. And I don't know if this is Kara Jor-El or if it's somebody else. I don't remember. And I also don't remember which one died in Crisis on Infinite Earth. Like, I don't remember these things. So I've never read that old of Supergirl comics, which is part of the reason why I saw this and just wanted it. Like, I wanted it. It looks great. For being loose and floating around, not in a bag or a backboard, its entire life, it looks remarkably good. That guy's got a really big forehead. Okay, it just keeps getting bigger. His forehead is just bigger and bigger. I don't know what they're thinking with that. Very large forehead. It gets bigger with every page. Anyway, that's Supergirl number 9. I was very pleased with that. I saw this cover and loved it. I don't have a lot of Superman anymore. I used to have tons and tons of it. But I've never had the opportunity to read that much of it, which I feel is like a failure on my part. But this is 25 cents. This is Superman number 294. And this cover just looks awesome. I loved it. This is much more on the rough side. But, I mean, these were priced out at 6 for $10. Which is, you know, it's a little less than $2 a piece. I thought for that and for something this old, which, you know, 25 cents, we're looking at 1975. It's a good looking book. Art's good. The panels are well shaped. They're vintage style, obviously. I did teach myself how to play guitar. I didn't need that. Wow, it's another large four-headed person. Some of the wonderful ads in these old books, I absolutely adore them. Pom-poms. I don't know what that is, but I see dinosaurs. That's cool. Very cool. Tarzan and the prehistoric stuff. Back issues. That's an awesome ad. Yeah, Superman, just whack his helmet off of his head and call it good. Private Life of Clark Kent. Interesting. Is he tied up? That is weird. And a tattoo with snakes and dice. Hopefully not on Clark. That seems a little odd. Soldiers. Shrunken head apple sculpture. Wow. That is that is weird. Vincent Price on the cover? Wow. It's a kit. Cool. Katy Keene, this was from her romance series. This is her under the Archie series. Now, I find Katy Keene to be an extremely odd and interesting character. Just because she's constant, it's like she just bounces in and out of, kind of like Barbie, but like way weirder and more sci-fi a lot of times. She's a very odd character. Changes style at all times. And this is 1985. Katy Perry is basically like the living embodiment of the Katy Keene comic book character. Except Katy Keene was not a singer. She was just bizarre and rich and traveled the world and did everything and could be anything. Very weird, interesting character. And the crazy thing about it is the extreme like change in fashions, jobs, careers. But you could almost always kind of still tell it was Katy, no matter what year it was. I've found the character to be very fascinating. And you get a lot of pages like these that's just, it's almost like the comic book guys wanted to flex their fashion concepts and ideas. He needs more pants. But I always loved that. I was like, they could just design, it's like literally the freedom of a fashion designer to throw whatever they wanted at something. And like I said, the hair and the styles always change, but you can always tell it's Katy Keene. And it's just one of those things I enjoy. A totally straight way. She is a mermaid now. I remember right, at one point in fashion history, she had like a little squatty friend, but I'm not positive. There she is, clearly. See, I can't help but see like Petty influences in that, the pinup artist. Just in the shape of her body and her build and stuff, like George Petty. But this is her, like I said, in Archie. And she existed in a lot of other comic book companies before Archie. And some of them were more wild, more weird. Some of the designs were, I mean, incredibly strange that they would come up with. Archie kind of toned it, if you believe that, Archie toned it down a lot from what it once was and what kind of stuff they were doing with her. So anyway, interesting character that I've always enjoyed. I saw this Red Sonja, She-Devil with a Sword. 35 cents, issue 10. This is 1978. Marvel. I just love Red Sonja covers. I think most of them are pretty dang cool. And there was a bunch of Conan books in there. I passed on those. I do love Conan stuff, at least the covers. I'm not wild about the character, but a lot of his covers are really cool. I've already grabbed quite a few issues of The Claw from in there. You can see this one is stapled poorly, so I'm getting like an overlap and like a terrible overlap, but it is what it is. It's not bad storage. It is literally like that is how they stapled it. Not the best thing they could have done. But yeah, I mean, she's definitely a looker as far as the comic book world went back in the day. Centaur. A racy, barely clad barbarian gal. Dicing stuff up. That is crazy. You don't normally see her stuck next to Spider-Man, Captain America, and Hulk. That's pretty wild. But yeah, now I don't think Marvel even has the license to her anymore. Pretty sure she's almost entirely being published by, what is that company? Diamond or Dynamite? Dynamite Comics, I think, is doing everything with her now. And they've got some pretty great action figures of her from Replica. Oh, what is it? Not the Coffin Comics. Executive Replicas makes a really good Red Sonja. And then I think it's Hacks Vitruvian just made another really nice looking Red Sonja figure, which looking at the two, the one from Executive Replicas is like $100 figure, like an $80 figure, and the other one that just came out more recently is like a $50 figure, and I think looks better. And I am probably, if I get one, it'll be that one. If you've never seen the original, I loved the movie Josie and the Pussycats, and when I saw it when it first came out, and that caused me to really take interest in Josie and go back and dig through some of the old comics, because I already liked Archie. But I did snag a bunch of Josie and the Pussycats comics that at one point, that as many as I could find. And I've since gotten rid of all of my Archie comics and everything like that. This is the first Josies that I have replaced since my major sellout a couple years ago. But I don't know, I didn't figure it would hurt to grab a couple of Josie and the Pussycats, especially when these were such similar covers, summer fun covers. You got Alexandria, it was quite well done in the movie. Yeah, I highly recommend the film. That is one of my favorite movies probably of all time, and certainly one of the more fun comic book adaptations I've ever seen. I mean, it is good, brilliantly written, and brilliantly performed. Parker Posey's great in it. Rachel Leigh Cook is fantastic as Josie. So all of it's good. Alan Cummings, he's brilliant. Yep. All of the typical things that you would expect to find in an Archie comic is going to be in this, and you know, it is what it is. They're great. Betty and Veronica, Summer Fun. Like I said, I got these because they had very similarly matching covers. I'm almost wondering if they're like the same month or something, but I hadn't had a lot of Archie or Betty and Veronica stuff for a long time, and I thought, you know what, I'll just grab one. It won't kill me to have one. And there's a whole bunch of Archie in this guy's collection, and holy cow, are you kidding? They made them naked in the comic. Oh my, in an Archie comic. Huh. Wow, in the sand. Was not expecting that. That's crazy. I've never seen something like that in an Archie comic. I will have to look up this particular issue and see if there was something about that, because that was shocking for an Archie. I have said a couple times that Archie has a reputation for innocence that I don't think it actually deserves. Maybe some of the older stuff, but this is what, 70 something? Probably 70 something. And I mean, some of the stuff was pretty racy, and some of the implications of what they talk about is lots racier than you would expect a comic of this age and innocence to be, which makes me wonder it was not near as innocent as people say it was. So, wow. I saw this, and basically I just grabbed it because I thought maybe it was worth something. It was Warrior #1. I know some of Warrior comics are, well, they're obnoxious, because the Ultimate Warrior was horribly obnoxious. But I had some of these at one point, gave them to a friend as payment for something, and he was like, hey, did you know these are worth a lot? And I was like, no, I didn't, but go ahead and keep it, it's fine. So I grabbed it just on the off chance that it might be, and the fact that I didn't ever actually look at the other ones. So there's the art. It looks very, very Image. I don't think it is Image. Shoot, I don't know who makes these, but the art style looks just horrendously Image comics. I can't tell if he's running around naked this whole issue or if he's got some sort of pants on. It doesn't ever show it, like show him wearing anything. It just shows his leg crossed over. I don't know. I just know that the Ultimate Warrior was good in small doses, but my goodness, what an obnoxious person. Impossible to work with. Complete bonehead. Talked absolute nonsense and believed every bit of it. So anyway, for less than $2, I grabbed it. Now this is, I might regret these. And these were like the last thing I bought because I was like, I don't know. But they had X-Men Extreme X-Men, Savage Land number 1 through 4. They had quite a few Extreme X-Men, which I don't know if I have any anymore, really. But I remember that I loved Rogue's costume in it. And that is a beautiful opening page of Rogue, period. But we got a bunch of dinosaurs. And I was like, oh man, it's the Savage Land. You know what? I'll grab them. I might regret it because I don't like newer comics. I just don't. And this is from the awful phase of X-Men where Beast is like looking like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, and probably Wolverine doesn't have a nose anymore. And there was a real crappy phase that X-Men went through. All of the Marvel Universe did. That was just unbearable. It looks like Wolverine does indeed have a nose right now, so this is probably past that. But I know I stopped reading X-Men when I really hated the Scott Summers Emma Frost affair. I was like, this is total bullshit. I absolutely can't stand it. And then we hit that phase where Angel was having sex with Paige over her family or something like that in the air. Like, I dropped it. That was literally the last issue I ever bought off of a newsstand, and I have bounced and found a few issues in collections and stuff that I bought, but I've never successfully read past that storyline. X-Men to me died basically then. However, I know that this is right around that time, but I thought, you know what, it's Savage Land and it's the Extreme X-Men. It's kind of the side team. It's not the up and front group. Maybe it'll be all right. Maybe I could be able to tolerate it. I do love these designs. So I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. Ultimate stuff. Oh, I hate Ultimate stuff. Ultimate X-Men. I hated Ultimate X-Men. Spider-Man. It was just crap. There's just no other way to put it. I can't stand that stuff. I know it was wildly popular for a time, but I think at that point, after a while, everybody was like, do I really want everybody destroying my characters, my favorite characters, and ruining them and making them a-holes and stuff like that? Nah, I don't like that. Maybe you should make your heroes likable, or at least realistically unlikable, instead of like over the top, mystifyingly unlikable. Tobacco is wacko. Anyway, like I said, I was not sure about getting these. That's why I just got the 4. Mostly out of respect for, I love both Rogue and Storm's outfits. Bishop looked pretty cool back in that day, but I wondered why his hair was no longer curly. His hair used to be like totally curly, and he looked awesome with it. Kind of had like the mullet thing going on. And now in this series, I've complained about it before, his hair looks like an old white dude's hair. And I'm like, no, that is not what Bishop looks like. Why would his hair look like old white dude's hair? He starts getting a widow's peak and stuff like that. And I was like, this is not how that looks. Sorry, guys. I hoped that there would be dinosaurs in here. I hoped right, because there's dinosaurs in here. And no word panels in that. Yeah, that rogue suit. They need to make a Marvel Legends of that. That was a... I know they made like a crappy one time for... is that a butt? That's a global butt. That's what that is. It's a global butt. Last one of these. I just kind of want to get through it and get back to the... maybe something better, but I hadn't flipped through these yet, so I really wanted to see that rogue, that rough looking Storm. I kind of like that. Reminds me of Vampire Storm from Mutant X. That's another Marvel Legends they could make. Always gotta love four-armed characters. Big fan of those. I did order Storm Collectibles Shiva just because I do love four-armed characters. They're just awesome. Art in this is good, and yeah, I can't get over how much I love that suit. I don't know what that is. Cat Beast, and I don't know who this is. Well, she looks villainous. Does Bishop have pants on? Bishop needs to get some pants on. Storm. And yeah, because it has an end, I was like, you know what? It's 1 through 4. I'll at least get a full, complete story out of it. We'll see what it looks like. Kamandi, the Last Boy on Earth. I bought this because I picked up a few and was just blown away by Jack Kirby's work on these. Absolutely blown away. And so I thought, you know what? There's another one here. I'm not sure if it's all Kirby, but it's 1975. I'm looking. For me, it's always harder to find names and D stuff. Inked, lettered, edited, written, and drawn by Jack Kirby. So yes, it's Kirby. If I'd have looked over here, this may as well be Kirby's signature because that's exactly what everything he does looks like. No, I was so impressed. I got 2 issues of Kamandi once, and just flipping through them, I was blown away by his work in it. And I just had to have more. I was like, I've never really thought of myself as a Jack Kirby fan. I never really took notice. But I had flipped through a couple issues of The Claw and Arak, and I can't remember what all other DC Barbarian titles at the time. And then I hit this, and I was like, wow. This is so much better. Art style. Action-wise, everything pops. Everything's really, really moving fast. And it's just like, I absolutely love this. This is brilliant. So that's what I wanted. I saw this and I grabbed another issue of Kamandi because it is good stuff. I like the concept. Kind of makes me think of some of the characters from James Axler's Deathlands. When I think of Kamandi, the Last Boy on Earth, that's I think of some of the characters in that book. So very much love the series and very much love this character. Makes me wish I still had the DC Multiverse action figure because that was a great figure. You could see Kirby's influence in it. But yeah, 25-cent cover. We have another issue of Josie. This one looks like it came out post-movie. Just you could tell by the art style, something has changed in the attitude, and they're trying to kind of cash in on the concepts of the film. Now, of course, all of this stuff in Archie, I appreciated. It is old school Archie. I do not like any modern Archie, anything that changed, anything to do with the TV show. None of that, as far as I'm concerned, that's not even the same stuff. I'm not interested at all. Old stuff, yeah, I do like. Her tail is on fire. Yeah, this definitely looks like post-movie stuff. Just, I mean, even the fan art style, you can tell. This was post film, and like I said before, this film is absolutely worth watching. It is tremendous. Got some really dense pages with moose. Wow. Different hairstyles. Kind of an interesting take on some of this stuff. But great. Another issue of Josie. This is issue 52. This would have been a little before. Pretty sure this is still post movie, just because of how they're filming it. I mean, like, these are almost like borrowed shots from the film. I'm not expecting any like crazy wild art stuff in here, because I mean, Archie House style is Archie House style. You're not going to break out of that and see some huge like spread page shot of like a big action scene or anything. It's all going to be pretty much the same thing. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I love the way it looked. I still love the way it looks, and I appreciate that they kept the same art style for so long, and it makes me sad that they've changed it and lost it to what it is now. So that is that. Girl romance. I crack up on some of these old romance comics, so I buy them. Busybody, Empty Arms, Tame a Wild Heart. So as you can see, this one does have some markings on the front that it was marked down to 10 cents from the 15 cents that it was, which was extremely cheap. And it looked to me like a 70s comic, but at 15 cents, issue 151. They must have been cranking these things out. So let's take a look at, when did this come out? 1970. I thought comics were probably a little more expensive than 1970. I thought maybe like a 20-cent cover price or something like that. 25. This one is a little rough, but there wasn't hardly any romance comics in there. And so I was like, you know what? I'm grabbing it because I love these things. They are quirky, weird. They are snapshots of pop culture that never existed or existed only in fiction. Plus, sometimes the art is pretty good. The fashion is interesting. And I love the cars. A lot of times you'll see some really sweet cars in these. I like, earlier in here we saw some Volkswagens already. Nice stuff. Tame a Wild Heart. I don't know why, but that sounds really familiar. Maybe I have had a similar title from this before. Become a Young Miss America. So yeah, I'm assuming they were selling these to girls at the time. Tips and hints to help yourself. Unloved and Unwanted. Julia Roberts, romance counselor. Well, she was in Pretty Woman. She must know all about it. Very young girls, much too young to be worried about romance. Flashy dream sequences. Good pacing, good art. And you know what? Sometimes this lack of boxes, like they're drawing outside the typical box, so I appreciate that. That they're kind of stretching their ideas, and that is an ad you don't normally see in a comic book for wigs. Crazy stuff, but I'm happy with it. Next up, Where Monsters Dwell. I thought this looked fantastic. It is a Marvel. It's 20 cents cover, and it's March. What year? I see that other one. That's 15 cents from 1970. This is 20 cents. This is 72. So yeah, okay. It was a little early 70s before we started seeing things creep over that 20 to 25 cent mark. This just looked like a weird sci-fi / horror book of the prime comic book era. And for what they were wanting for it, I mean, like I said, these were any books you wanted in the bin was 6 for $10. So little less than $2 an issue. just looked good to me. And this one is very rough. This one is quite rough. And, well, I say very rough. It's dirty. It's got a lot of stains and stuff on it. But it's intact. I mean, it's from 72. This thing's like, what, 50 years old? Never been in a bag in its whole life, and has been bounced around in a comic box its entire life. I know at one point it was kept in storage, like a garage, for years. So the fact that they're as in good a shape as they are, that's impressive. Beautiful book. They snapped his finger off. Oh, I've heard the story. The boy who stuck his finger in the dike to keep it from washing away and killing the whole village. I don't know if that's true or not, but it is a Holland legend. Looks like this guy has built a TARDIS. It is not. It is just a weird phone booth that travels back in time. There's a lot of short stories in this. Don't be half a man. Anyway, great cover. Was very happy with it for the price. We have Weird Wonder Tales, another book. This is 25 cents, Marvel. Looks like horror / sci-fi. And I'm going to guess 74. I was going to say 73, but just looking at price increases. That is some crazy eyes. They definitely modeled that guy after Abe Vigoda. I'll betcha. Wow. Looks like Kang and Kodos. I can't tell if that was an ad or was that the story. That's one thing. Some of these ads in these, or where they switch from like multiple stories and anthology stories, it's hard to tell. Yeah, it's a story. What's an ad and what's the actual comic, because they flutter about so much that it's like, well, is this an ad? Is this a different artist? What's going on here? And boy, this one does have a lot of ads. These guys are gross looking. Interesting enough, though. The panels are boring. Those spaceships, those are terrible spaceships. I'm not gonna lie. Those are boring. Look who's smiling now. Anyway, Weird Wonder Tales. Have I seen weirder? Yeah, I have. And last we have, this is a thick book. And I'm gonna set all these others back up here, kind of just because. This is thick and it was a little newer and I didn't recognize it. And I'm trying to figure out, interview, a comics interview. I had a terrible time making that out. Yeah, it looks like Interview publication. Southern Nights, Death of a Dragon. And I had never heard of this. I had no idea what this was, and so that made me curious. And it was black and white, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. 1985. That's a heck of an opening page. I'm looking for any names that I recognize. Chuck Kowalski, Kajewicz, or Walt Kajewicz, Steve Kent, Dave Willis, Henry and Audrey Vogel. I'm not familiar with any of these people. Maybe I'll have to lay you down. The art is interesting. I'm not mad at it. It was thick. It was independent. It was 80s. It was weird. And it was cheap. So I was like, well, let's see what we got. See if there's anything in here worth knowing. That's pretty cool. Cool big splash pages. At least they didn't like box in and make a ton of tiny frames. Like, I've seen a lot of independent publishing books will tend to do that. It seems like just like try to wedge in a more story because they don't have enough pages, and so they try and downsize their panels. When really, I appreciate a big splash every now and then. You just gotta have a big splash. I can't tell. This is a very hairy man. I can't tell if this is a sword and sorcery, if it's sci-fi. It looks kind of like a little of both. Can't really make it out. And it looks like we forgot to ink all of it in these because we're feeling very faded, which that's kind of weird. But weird lack of color, or a lack of black and white fading. Yeah, it just looks like something is wrong with the coloring here. It's like they didn't put it thick enough, or the inker didn't refine the lines enough when they finally published it. Now see, this doesn't look that bad. This looks like it's covered and colored well, or not colored, inked well, I should say, with the stuff that they did it with. It's not colored, but it's, you know what I mean. When they printed it, the printer picked everything up. So these ended up looking quite a bit better. And we've thrown out conventional boxes, so and panels, so it's looking pretty interesting as far as that goes. I'm gonna say it's definitely a sword and I don't know. What is the combination when it's a sci-fi sword and sorcery? Isn't there like a certain there's like a certain name for that? Because that's what I'm picking up off of it. I do like, I just like his art. I'm liking whatever's going on here. And we get a nice huge splash page. Standing on a dragon. That's always great. Yeah, his facial expressions on everybody looks very good. I think it all looks very well. Super fantastic. Yeah, definitely one I'm not mad I grabbed. Like, I wasn't sure. I literally didn't flip through it. I just saw the cover and I was like, I don't know this publisher. No ads. It's really thick. That's cool. I'm pretty happy with all of this. I'm pretty happy with this whole haul. Trying to think of what my favorite cover was. You know what? Out of all of them, I still have to go back to the Superman number 294. I love that cover. Anyway, that was a long video. That was a long haul and a bunch of comics. I loved this haul. I loved digging through them and finding them. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it if you made it this far in. Kudos to you. Give me a like if you can. And that's my story. I will catch you guys later. Bye.